Before I even get into this, I've got a very important public service announcement for those of you already judging me based on the title of this alone. I don't want any of you giving me lip in the comments about how I shouldn't have even gotten on Omegle. Oh, it's Omegle. What did you expect? Come on, bro. You should have known you were going to see some wild stuff on there. What were you even doing on Omegle? Yeah, I don't want to hear any of it. Trust me, I've been through enough. In fact, you should be glad that I'm posting this at all. At the expense of my dignity, I'm going to explain my situation, so I really don't need the judgment, okay? I just need you to listen, and please heed my warning. Stay off of Omegle. Sure, the allure of talking to strangers is cool and whatnot, and it definitely helps to pass the time, but sometimes you get yourself into situations that you can't easily get out of. This is one of those instances. It all started last Friday night. One of my friends was stuck with his girlfriend, one was out of state, and the other two were at a party that I had no interest in attending. So that meant that I was going to order a pizza, maybe play a little Halo, and throw back a couple beers. Poppy's Pizzeria, this is Daniela speaking. The girl's voice on the other end of the line was monotone and uninterested. She sounded like she hated her job. Great. I could already tell that the customer service was going to be stellar. Hey, yeah, I'd like to place an order. For carryout or delivery? I scoffed, the snarky teenager cutting me off and loudly smacking her gum into the receiver. Delivery. Gotcha. What can we get started for you? I internally cringed when I heard her pop a bubble before she said, Hello? Yeah, sorry. Can I get one large pineapple and ham pizza? Got it. Anything else? I could hear her annoyance the longer I stayed on the line. And then, the muffled sound of someone in the background. Danny, you almost done with that call? Addison Ray's mom is going live on TikTok, and you've got to see this. Yeah, one sec. I've got to get this boomer off the line first. Excuse me? My brows furrowed as I clenched the phone. I was 24. Oh, sorry about that. I thought I had you on mute. She sort of giggled before she said, Is that it, or? Yeah, that's it. Name for the order? Ryder Kentwood. Okay, give me 1 second. I spent the next few minutes on hold. She was probably watching that stupid TikTok live. This was ridiculous. Right when I'd thought about just hanging up and calling another place, she finally got back on the line, and I gave her my address. She said it would be about 30 minutes, so I decided to find something to keep me occupied until then. Something told me it was going to be a lot longer than 30 minutes. As I scrolled through some YouTube shorts, I came across one from a guy that I'd subscribed to a couple months back. He always did these hilarious Omegle videos where he catfished the men on there into thinking he was a woman. That was what gave me the brilliant idea to try out Omegle for myself. I'd always watched other videos of people checking it out, and it looked like harmless fun. Looking back now, I wish I'd have poured bleach into my eyes instead. After the first couple of people, I was starting to get kind of bored. It was all the same thing. Guys with guitars, Omegle rizzers, girls who had eyelashes so fake that they looked as if they would fly away every time they blinked, and countless dudes with their thirdly, well, for the sake of keeping this clean, let's just say they forgot to put their pants on. By the time I decided to call it a night, I connected with a woman, and she was drop-dead gorgeous. In a way, I was completely and utterly mesmerized, and this time, I didn't find my finger hovering over the skip button. Instead, I found myself sitting there and staring at her like a lovesick puppy. Hey, how are you doing tonight? Her voice was like velvet, silky and smooth. "Oh, I'm good." I smiled, stuttering over my words. A deep blush settled over my features as I tried my best to contain my nerves. My fingers toyed with a string on my hoodie as I looked her over. Raven-colored hair cascaded down her shoulders in a mass of voluminously shiny curls. My eyes moved down her face slowly, drinking in features that stood out in stark comparison. Seafoam green eyes gazed back at me, framed by thick, dark lashes. "I'm Lily. What was your name?" Then she smiled. "And I swear to you on everything holy that in that very moment, I'd thought the heavens themselves opened up and angels started singing. Perfectly full lips, painted a dark shade of crimson, slowly parted and revealed a row of pearly white teeth. This woman was absolutely stunning. "Are you okay?" she asked, a singular dark brow raised as she smirked. This woman had to know what she was doing. There was no way that she could look as good as sin and be totally oblivious to the effect that she had on me. With a nervous chuckle, I wiped the drool from my mouth and rubbed the back of my neck anxiously. She was easily an 1110 on the smoke show meter, and I was going to kick myself if I fumbled this. "Hey, yeah, sorry. You're just really beautiful is all. I'm Ryder, but, you can just call me Rye." She was silent for a moment, and this silence is what caused me to ramble. "In fact, you look a whole lot like someone I know." I laughed awkwardly and then continued on. "Yeah, you know what? You sort of remind me of my ex." I internally cursed when I realized what I'd just said. I accidentally word vomited, and now I'd absolutely obliterated any chance I had at bagging this smoking hot babe. It's over for me now. I might as well just throw my whole entire PC out the window. "Your ex?" Lily gave me a funny look before she announced, "Well, she must have been absolutely stunning." With a wink, she smirked before running a hand through her luscious locks. Once again, I paused, a bit caught off guard. I didn't know what good I'd done in my past life to deserve that second chance, but I was incredibly thankful for it. I thought for sure I'd screwed it up. "Do you live by yourself? Or do you have a pretty little roommate to keep you company?" she suddenly asked, distracting me from my internal dialogue. "Oh, yeah, it's just me. Why?" A part of me was completely flabbergasted. Was she seriously asking me that because she wanted to know if I was single? Maybe I was just overthinking this. She was completely out of my league. That's when I realized that Lily wasn't in her room anymore. I'd been so caught up in what she looked like that I'd totally disregarded anything in the background. In fact, it sounded like she was in her vehicle. A couple of car horns could be heard blaring in the background, the typical sounds of Friday night traffic. "No rush," I reassured her before continuing. "Say, are you hungry?" "Starving," she exclaimed, bottom lip jutting out in a playful pout. "Well, you're in luck. I just ordered a pizza, and it should be delivered here in a little bit. I hope you like pineapple and ham?" I knew pizza wasn't an impressive dinner. Nothing fancy or candlelit like she was probably used to. But I did have a couple bottles of wine that might spice it up a little. She deserved that much at least. "That's crazy," she giggled. "That's actually my favorite. Where did you order from?" "Gio's is subpar, and I'm not a fan of Pizza Hut sauce. It's always too sweet." I watched in slight amusement as Lily pulled a face, her pointer finger sliding down her throat in a barfing motion. "It's a family-owned one. Poppy's Pizzeria has some of the best pizza. The teenagers that work there are a little snooty, but their thin crust is to die for." "Oh, I love Poppy's Pizzeria." Lily's smile brightened before she said, I'm I didn't get a chance to hear the rest of her response, though. The video cut out, and my screen went black. I didn't even get a chance to give her my number. With a frustrated sigh, I leaned back in my chair and kicked my desk. I reached for my phone, absent-mindedly scrolling through my Twitter for a couple of minutes before I threw it down and stared up at the ceiling. This pizza was taking forever. I was already annoyed, and my patience was hanging on by a thread. Suddenly, the ding of the doorbell caught me off guard. It was about time. Whatever tip I'd even thought about giving that driver was going to stay buried in my wallet. Poppy's Pizzeria had top-tier pizza, but their customer service sucked. As I got to the door, I snatched up my wallet and pulled out some cash. I'd been waiting on this pizza since the dawn of time, and if this wasn't my pizza delivery, I was about to go kick some kittens. I pulled open the door, wholeheartedly convinced that it was going to be one of the snotty teenagers from the pizzeria, but instead, I was met with raven-colored hair and seafoam green eyes. Wait a minute, what the heck? I faltered, confusion settling over my features, until I noticed that Lily was holding a pizza. Once again, what were the chances? I figured I'd just swing by and pick it up for you. Her smile was big, and her eyes twinkled innocently. I just so happened to catch the pizza boy out in the parking lot, and it turned out that he was getting ready to deliver your order. Literally, everything Lily said felt incredibly fishy, and any sane man would have slammed the door in her face. But unbeknownst to me, she had a trick up her sleeve. Before I even had time to react, I felt her hand reach out and grab my arm, her fingers lightly caressing my skin. And that's when I felt it. All my doubts, all my confusion, all the questions dancing on the tip of my tongue melted away the second she gazed up at me and whispered, "Rye, you believe me. I'm telling the truth." Lily's voice was like warm honey dripping into my ears. In the second it took her to grace my skin. She had easily willed me into submission, soothed my thoughts, and completely snuffed out the warning bells that were screaming at me only a few seconds beforehand. My head nodded, almost on its own accord. Suddenly, I didn't care where she came from or what she was doing here. I just knew that I couldn't get her inside my house fast enough. Charm radiated off of Lily like the aroma of melted cheese was radiating off of that pizza. And before I knew it, I was inviting her in. In fact, my brain was so clouded that I couldn't figure out what I wanted more, the pizza or her. Please understand me when I say that all of this was the biggest red flag to have ever graced mankind, but I was far too gone to even care. My mind was buzzing, and my heart was beating so wildly within my chest that I thought I was going to die if I didn't touch her. I didn't know what the heck this feeling was, but I wanted more. No, I needed more. Every smile, every laugh, every flutter of her lashes was intoxicatingly addicting. I felt like a druggie begging for his next fix, and everything about this woman was abso-freaking-lutely euphoric. The second Lily stepped past the threshold of my front door. It was like every fiber of her being called out to me. So, when she set the pizza down and made a move to kiss me, it was no surprise when things got heated. My hands flew to her hair, bunching up dark curls within my fingertips as she moved her lips fervently against mine. From that point forward, everything was progressing rather quickly. An overwhelmingly hot whirlwind of emotions encompassed my entire being, all the way up until she got an unexpected phone call. With an irritated scoff, Lily pulled away from the kiss and apologized before picking up her phone. A name glowed up at her that made her falter. "I need to take this. Mind if I step out of the room for a bit?" "Yeah, sure," I breathed, my chest rapidly rising and falling, still worked up from our heated makeout session. The bathroom's right down the hall, if you just want to step in there. Perfect, she smiled. I'll be right back. Just sit tight for a second.